How's it going, YouTube? It's Blake Wildman here. It's my first video in, I believe, like 3 years, something like that. And it's my first vlog. And I can already tell you that majority of you people that are watching this already know that in the past couple years, police have been getting a bad reputation for police brutality, shooting people unarmed. But having my father be a retired police officer, I see things through a different light. Granted, I still see the bad things, and I'm like, okay, they maybe went a little too far sometimes, and other times it's like, okay, the person shouldn't have done that, and what they did. But having watched some videos with my father and hearing his input on things, on top of the stories that he's told me already from him being a cop, it makes you see things through a different light when you actually hear it through someone that's been a police officer. Because growing up, I was always taught, respect your elders, be polite, know your manners when you go to someone else's house, be polite, yes sir, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. And if someone offers you food, especially when you go to your friend's house, you accept it and you eat it, regardless if it tastes good or not. But you still tell them thank you, even if you don't want it, or it's something you don't like. Try it, because not everybody makes the same thing. But getting a little off topic, growing up as my father being a retired police officer, I didn't really see him growing up a lot, because obviously I'd get off school and then I'd come home and he usually was working till like right when I was going to bed. And my mom was a STNA. She helps take care of old people in a nursing home. Well, them two, I love those professions. I think they're pretty cool. And if you actually read into, what would your reaction be if somebody you pull over and they're reaching in the pocket and you got kids? Your first reaction, having already been trained, and my father's an ex-military, so that makes things even more difficult, because he was a Marine for a couple years when he was younger, and then after that he went straight into the police academy when he got home from overseas or wherever he was, I don't remember. And everyone always seems to give cops a bad rep, because as soon as someone makes a move real quick, if you notice, when they do shoot people, regardless of the situations, usually either they have the gun exposed, weapon exposed, whatever, they're charging them, or having a really shitty day, and they do a thing called suicide by cop, which is basically you, after being told repeatedly to not do something, you do it anyways, especially like if you have a gun or a knife, machete, whatever. They usually run at the cop and making them shoot them, because they don't really have an opportunity, have a choice. Think about it like this. You're a cop. You've been doing it for however long, rookie or not. You're still trained, and you have kids. Would you rather go home to your kids and be alive, or be dead and not go back home to your kids, wife, husband, whatever it may be, and not see them again? Or would you rather go home and see them, being able to probably not really sleep very well, but knowing you still have your family there with you? It was growing up, I didn't really see my parents. My dad was usually at work. My mom was at work too. We lived out in the middle of nowhere, and then my parents divorced. My mom moved away. Me and my brother moved with my dad, and my dad retired before. My mom divorced my father right after he retired from being a cop. But after they divorced and I got older, I became more curious about what my dad had to do when he was a cop. And as any kid who has their dad or mom, whatever parent or somebody in the family, or anyone that you really meet, you find out, you used to cop, what's the number one question you usually ask? Have you ever killed anybody? Have you had to shoot somebody? And depending on how long they've been on, like my dad said, I prefer not to talk about it. And that's what my dad says. He was in the Marines, and he was a cop. So he usually says, I've I'm not proud of it, but it came down to the same situation that I already talked about. I want to go home to my kids, whether or not anything happens. I wanted to go home to my kids. And obviously he did. My father's alive, and not really, I can't say kicking because he got into a car accident and he had to have surgery on it, and like he has skin on the outside, but you know, his foot's basically metal on the inside, titanium. And hearing, when I got, obviously my dad can't tell me the more graphic stories when he was, like when I was younger, but as I grew up, being a cop is ridiculously hard. Like, I've heard stories of him turning a corner and getting a call, and it's right up ahead of him, he turns a corner, and there he sees like a mangled car and a body like 50 yards out into the wood, like out into the field, and come to find out it's our cousin. Yeah, or he's gotten called to somewhere, and he gets there, and there's a dead, a kid on fire hanging out of a sunroof while the whole vehicle's on fire. Like, that's the stuff that my dad has to deal with every day. And then he still wants to come home because now he's remarried and he has a wife, and I live with him, and we still have 4 younger ones of my step siblings that live with us. So can you really be that harsh on a cop that, like, he killed somebody? Yeah, but if there's a video and you can actually pay attention, think about it in the mentality of, does he have kids? And what would you do? Like, you're a cop, someone charges you whatever, they pull a gun, they move really fast. What are you going to do? So be like, okay, I'm going to wait for you to see what you got. Okay, you have a gun. Okay, let's think about this. You're not going to think that. You're going to think, I'm going to go home somewhere, and you're going to react. Whatever you had to deal with, you're going to do. You were trained to do something, you're going to most likely do it. And your first reaction is going to be, shoot. It's either you or me, and I have somebody to go home to. And I think not all cops are good, though. I'm not trying to say all cops are good. There are some bad cops. I know this comedian, Elliot Chang. He says there's good cops and then there's shitty cops. The shitty ones generally, okay, they were trained and all that. They've done this and that. But the good ones, they don't do it unless they absolutely have to. They'll try and de-escalate the situation rather than, oh, bang. Like, if someone's got a knife and they're like 30 yards in front of you, it's going to take them a little bit to get there. But if you can try and calm the situation down before they try and do death by cop or actually try and kill the cop, then they're good. I mean, my dad always said he always tried to de-escalate something before it came what it shouldn't be. And a lot of the time, it did become de-escalated, and it didn't have to. Cool. I can idolize my dad for the stuff that he's done, and I thank him. And I'm glad that he was a Marine. I'm proud to say my father is a veteran. So is my grandfather. And I live in Ohio, Northwest Ohio. And yeah, my dad was a cop in a small town. But even in a small town, people talk. So it's not like it's not like Chicago. Like, Chicago right now is a mess. New York, Cincinnati, Cleveland. I just want people to understand that it's not the cops like, ooh, that looks like a suspicious person, pulls them over and just shoots them for no reason. They don't do that. Only shitty cops do. But then again, even if you are a shitty cop, I'm pretty sure you still don't want to just pull someone over and be like, oh, hi, bang. Like, then you might want to reconsider what's going on in your head and try and get help. But my point is, people need to think rather than stay on the internet all the time. And like, you have to think for yourself rather than reading it. Be like, cop shoots kid, this and that. You have to think for yourself and visibly see what's going on and make your own decisions. And that is what I want to get across. I love the cops. I love Marines. I love Navy, Army, Air Force, everything. I love America. I have American flag on my neck. Yeah, that's basically all I gotta say. Have a nice day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more, I'm gonna probably try and get my dad to like make an own video with me and see his opinions, and maybe try and watch some videos like that with him responding to them. And yeah, peace.